Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is a topic of how we can make the internet better, So for this video, it is a follow-up to one of my previous videos I did where I discussed the topic of is the internet good for humanity or something along the lines of that, where I discussed if it was good or not, and I said that it was good for humanity. You just simply need to, of course, create content in a way that is meant for you, whether you're the creator of it or you're a follower of it. In other words, to sum it up, you create your own niche audience that makes things in the way you like. And this video is going to be a follow-up to that where I explain in full detail how to do it properly, okay? So now that I've mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of how we can make the internet better, simply put it, create your own niche audience, okay? So when it comes to obviously creating your own niche audience, it means you make videos in a way that you like, whether it could be edited in the way you like, or it could obviously maybe, for example, discuss the topics you're interested in, and not just the topic you're interested in. Maybe it could be more upbeat compared to other channels, whatever. You get the point. Like, you talk about things that you actually care about instead of focusing on what everyone else wants to hear, because this is what's most important, not other people. It's about you, and that's the honest truth, to be quite honest with you, okay? And that is the very, very, very honest truth, okay? So that is the very truth, okay? When it comes to obviously making your own video. I mean, having videos made in the way you like, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to the internet, which everyone nowadays complains there's nothing good on, or this and that, this and that, and blah, 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 blah. You hear it a million times. All the internet has is negativity, not just negativity. It's just nothing I'm interested in, it's just drama and all that stuff. But the truth of the matter is, the masses, okay, as I'm certain we're all aware, and not even in a pretentious way, but let's keep it real, they are dumb, okay? They're not really world renowned for being very intelligent, okay? Everybody kind of knows this. The masses are not the smartest people out there, okay? They rely more on emotion. They just do what everyone else is doing. They're just not very smart, and and it's not saying they can't be smarter. I'm certain they can, more likely than not, but at this point in history, they actually are kind of dumb, and they do rely on emotions, and a lot of times they don't even know what they want. That's why when you listen to radio, for crying out loud, you hear the same songs over and over again and nothing new and different, and it gets kind of boring, because a lot of times they rely on people to call in, and they just say the same songs over and over again, okay? Whether it could be something like that or just anything. The masses are not really the greatest when it comes to coming up with ideas and stuff. Or I should say, when it comes to deciding what they even want, for that matter, let alone even making good decisions in their own personal lives, okay? I'm not saying they can't be better, but at this point in history, they're not the greatest, okay? So when it comes to your complaint, if you're that type of person who says, oh, there's nothing good on the internet, the truth of the matter is, to put it bluntly, you just simply have to find like-minded people. Relying on the masses to start changing and this and that is not really going to work, You can't convince them to say, okay, maybe we should try something different. Just find your own niche group of people, in other words, your small group of people, that has similar interests to you, and so on and so forth, and just make stuff in a way that you like instead of relying on what everyone else thinks, or what everyone else cares about. That's what's most important. And for all you know, maybe it might go mainstream eventually, and that's the honest truth of the matter. So to put it bluntly, absolutely undeniably, without a shadow of a doubt, I definitely do believe that the masses, are not really going to change ever, just like Wise Music. Perfect example, actually. Why is music so trash? Because a lot of them don't mind listening to music that sounds like that, versus obviously if you find your own group of people, you can make music made in a way you like. So that's the honest truth here. So that's just what I want to get out here, is that if you expect them to change, and other words, change their minds and try to influence them, it wouldn't really work. And if it would work, it'd take too much effort. Just focus on making on your own community and making videos in a way you like, instead of caring what everybody else fucking thinks, to answer your question. Okay, so now that I've of course discussed that, let's get back to what I was discussing, the main point of what I'm trying to get across here, which of course is figuring out the topics you like, so you can either create it or be a consumer of it. Okay, and that's what we're talking about. Okay, so when it comes to the topics you're interested in, okay, obviously people have different preferences. Some people might be interested in sci-fi, some people might be interested more in history, some people might be more interested in topics related to animals, in other words, nature. Some people might be more interested maybe in travel, like traveling to different places, whatever. You get the point. Okay, the truth of the matter is people have different preferences for topics that they're interested in. Okay, so if you have maybe specific topics that you are of course interested in, and you want something kind of different instead of the stupid stuff you're used to hearing all the time, or even commentary channels, where they talk about a variety of topics, like like a lot of other YouTubers out there, most mainstream YouTubers like Penguin Zero, or another one could obviously, aside from him, be Optimus, Some Ordinary Gamer, people like that. Like when it comes to a commentary channel specifically, okay, like that type of video, that type of channel, then create your own niche audience and have it done in a way that you like, to be quite blunt and honest with you. And that's honest truth here. So do it in a way that you actually like, instead of course, relying on channels that don't make things in a way that you like, and that's the honest truth of the matter, So in short, to sum it up, find channels, create your own channels, or support channels that makes videos in a way that you like, okay? Whether they cover specific topics or they cover a variety of topics, okay? And that is the honest truth here, okay? And when it comes to, of course, now this is where things really get interesting, of course, how you as the viewer can, of course, decide, of course, how you want this channel to make videos the way you like. The truth of the matter is, simply put it simply comes down to giving them suggestions, okay? And this is where things really get interesting, because we're giving an exact example of how you can actually do it, like influence a channel to make videos in a way you like, okay? Like, let's just use science fiction as an example, okay? Let's just say you have a channel that makes sci-fi stuff, okay? So when it comes to sci-fi, obviously you could discuss something like how would space travel actually be like, to put it bluntly, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay? You could, of course, give that as a main topic suggestion for the channel that maybe makes videos about sci-fi that you're interested in, so you can obviously influence them, which of course for space travel could be different things, like how would spaceships actually work if they're to travel to other solar systems in our galaxy, how would space civilizations extract resources, another one could obviously be, maybe for example, how would colonizing other planets, or in other words, of course, going to other planets and of course developing it be like, to other questions like how would space weapons be like in reality versus fiction, and lastly, but of course there's many other suggestions you could give this channel, how would different civilizations in outer space interact with each other if we were to find aliens? So you can come up with your own specific things, that you want to ask them, and not just those examples, like I was saying before, but many examples. And not just that, but come up with very, very interesting questions, so the channel is actually enjoyable, and not just enjoyable, but actually, gives you a lot of knowledge, that maybe you can use in your everyday to-day life, for that matter, okay? So that is the honest truth. So in short, when it comes to the topic of how we can make the internet better. That is the answer I have for my video. Simply put it, just create your own niche audiences, whether it could be down to you being the creator or you being the consumer. Okay, so create things in a way you like, so you don't have to rely on other people who will do things in a way that you don't like, and that's honest truth. So anyway, this is my video. This is all I have to say. And simply put it, the only thing left to say is that if you like this video, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button, and that is all. And simply put, I'm out. So bye.